Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will be giving you guys a tutorial on how to create this look right here, and I will be using 3 new products I have never used before, those being the Dream St palette by Kathleen Lights in Colourpop Cosmetics, the Ofra Cosmetics Beverly Hills highlighter, and the Smashbox Cosmetics Always On liquid lipstick. So if you want to see how I created this look and what my final thoughts on those products are, then just keep on watching. As you can see, I already have my eyebrows done, so I'm going to start by priming my eyelids and then the eyeshadow. I'm going to be priming my eyelids using the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer, and I'm just going to be applying this with a flat concealer brush. After I've blended that out, I'm going to set it using my Maybelline Fit Me powder and a dense fluffy brush. This one is from Studio Beauty. I'm just going to pack that color on the lid to make sure that my eyeshadow and concealer don't crease and to make sure that my eyeshadow stays on during the day. Today we will be trying out the Kathleen Lights Colourpop palette. This is the Dream St Pressed Powder Shadow Palette. And I am going to start off by warming up the crease using a LANCOME 17 brush and this cream shade right here called Shooting Star. I am just fluffing this color all over my crease to use it as a transition color and warm up this area. Now I am going to deepen up that crease using this brown shade from the palette. This is called Elfish. And I'm going to be using a KYLIE Cosmetics Royal Peach palette brush. I'm going to be applying this color lower than the first transition shade I applied in windshield wiper motions, back and forth, blending it very lightly with almost no pressure at all. I'm going to take a little bit more of that color and just deepen up this outer edge right here. These eyeshadows are blending so nicely and they're very pigmented, so I suggest you build up the color instead of just going in with a lot of color from the first hand. You can obviously build up the intensity as much as you want, but I am going to leave it like that. And I'm going to go in with this deep blue shade right here called Water Bearer. And I'm going to deepen up my outer V using that same KYLIE brush. I'm just going to press that color on my outer corner, and then I'm just going to lightly blend it up to the crease. To blend out that color even more, I'm going to take my LANCOME brush again and just fluff the two colors together to get rid of any harsh lines between that blue and the orange. I'm going to press that blue color on top again so that I can intensify it. Going in with this brush again and blending it out a little bit more to make it seamless. Now I am going to go in with this shade right here called Kaleidoscope, and I'm going to run that all over my lid using a flat concealer brush by BH Cosmetics. I will first apply this eyeshadow dry, and if I see that it's not as pigmented as I want it to be, I will wet the brush with some setting spray. I'm going to be applying this to the inner part of my eyelid, and I'm basically going to cut the crease using that shadow and that concealer brush. I feel like the eyeshadow is getting a little bit lost with how intense that blue corner shadow is, so I'm going to intensify it by picking some up on the brush and wetting it with my NYX Dewy Finish setting spray. Now I am going to pat it on the eyelid again. It definitely looks better. Now as you can see, there is a very harsh line between the shimmer shade and the matte blue, so I'm going to pick up that KYLIE brush again with a tiny bit of that blue and just blend the two shades together very lightly to make a smooth transition and get rid of that harsh line. I feel like it looks pretty. I like it. Now with a makeup wipe and my index finger, I'm just going to clean up that edge and sharpen up this area right here so it gives me that winged out smoky effect. Now I am going to prime my face, and I will be using the Milk Makeup Blur Stick. This is really gonna make my pores look smaller, mattify my skin, and just smooth out my face for a flawless foundation application. I'm just going to press that into my pores using my fingers to make sure it's nicely blended out and my foundation doesn't grab to any of the areas. As foundation today, I will be using the Maybelline SuperStay Full Coverage Foundation. I'm going to pump some up on my hand and just paint it my skin with my fingers. And now using my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge, I am just going to blend that foundation into my skin. This is pretty full coverage, so you don't need a lot of this foundation. And remember to always drag it down your neck so that you don't get that harsh line between your jawline and your neck. Today for concealer, I'll be using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer to conceal and highlight my under eye. I know this looks crazy, but I swear this is my shade. I'm going to blend that in with my sponge once again. Now I'm going to set my under eye using the Coty Airspun Loose Base Powder. But before I do so, I'm going to go in with my blending sponge once again and get rid of any possible creasing that might have happened. And then I'm going to use the flat edge of my sponge to pick up some of that powder and press it on my under eye. I do have dry skin, so I don't use too much powder under my eyes because it will look very, very dry and feel extremely tight. Now I'm going to set the rest of my face using my Maybelline Fit Me pressed powder and my Morphe E2 powder brush. I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of that powder and press it on my skin. I don't want to go in circular motions because I do not want to move the foundation that's already underneath. And remove any excess powder that I used for baking. I will be using my Morphe Y3 brush and the Colourpop pressed powder bronzer. This is just going to warm up the skin, give it a little bit more life, and add more definition to the perimeters of my face. Next up, I'll be contouring my face, and I will be using the Morphe 9C palette. And I will be using this shade right here with a MAC 168 brush, and this is just going to chisel out my cheekbones. Now I am going to cut that contour and make it even more sharp using that same Coty Airspun powder and my Real Techniques sponge again. I'm using the flat edge because it is more precise. I'm going to let that sit on my skin for a while, and while that happens, I will be finishing up my lower lash line using the palette again. I will be using a MAC 212 brush to add this matte blue shade to the outer corner of my lower lash line, and I am going to press it just very, very close to my lash line and connect it to the shadow that is on my upper lid. At first, I'm just going to press the shadow and then lightly just blend it out, moving the shadow brush side to side with barely any pressure because you really want the shadow to stay exactly in the place you want it to be. Now with that same brush, I am going to take that Kaleidoscope shade again, and I will be adding it to the inner part of my lower lash line. When I get to where those two shadows meet, I want to make sure to blend them out in a seamless way, moving the shadow brush from side to side. Now that I've laid down those two shadows, I want to make sure to blend the bottom edges out, and for that I will be using a MAC 214 brush and the first transition shade we used on our crease, which is this shade right here called Shooting Star. Very lightly with the brush, I am going to blend the edges out. To finish off the eye look, I am going to take the shade Moony and a Morphe Y22 brush to highlight my inner corner and brighten up under my brow bone. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some mascara and lashes off camera, and I'll be right back to finish off the look. Okay, so I've added some lashes and mascara, and to finish off the eye look, I will be adding the NYX Retractable Eyeliner in white. I'm going to be adding this to my waterline to make my eyes pop even more. That's it for the eyes. So now I am going to clean off my bake using my Morphe E2 brush. And I will be adding some Wet n Wild Color Icon Blush. This is in the shade Pearlescent Pink. And I will be using my Real Techniques blush brush. Before I add more of that blush, I am going to add some of the Ofra Beverly Hills Cosmetics highlighter. And I am going to use these three lighter shades with a Morphe M310 fan brush. To make sure that highlight, blush, and contour are blended out, I am going to add a little bit more of Pearlescent Pink. And now to finish off the look, I will be using the Smashbox Cosmetics Always On Lipstick, and this is in the shade Stepping Out. I really like the pointed tip on the applicator because it makes it easier for me to apply the lipstick. It definitely helps getting that really sharp, precise line at the end of your lips. And the color is absolutely stunning. Now that we have our lip on, I'm just going to finish off my makeup by setting my brows with the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. This will make my eyebrows look a little fluffier and make them stay in place during the day. Now to make sure that this makeup lasts the whole day and to get rid of this powdery look that makes it really noticeable that I have 10 layers of makeup on, I am going to be using the NYX Cosmetics Dewy Finish Setting Spray and my makeup sponge. I'm just going to wet the makeup sponge to press the sponge on my skin to really set my makeup and melt all those powders into my skin. Well, that is it, guys, for the look. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I think it looks very pretty. And before I leave, I do want to give you my final thoughts on the 3 new products we used today. First of all, the eyeshadow palette, I think it's great. I do wish it had a mirror, but for the price, I mean, I think this is only $16 and you do get 12 eyeshadows, so that's pretty great. These shadows were super pigmented. They blended out amazingly, and I did have to wet this shade right here, but it's just because I wanted it to be a little bit more intense, not because you have to. So I think that's a very, very great eyeshadow. And you can create neutral looks with this row right here, or then you have your pops of color. So I think that's very cute. The Ofra Cosmetics highlight in Beverly Hills I think is stunning. It's very, very blinding. And I really do like that you have 5 colors that suit every skin tone. And it doesn't emphasize my texture. It just it just looks really, really nice, and I really, really like it. I will definitely be using it again. The Smashbox lipstick is super comfortable, super pigmented. I really, really like this shade. It doesn't feel like a matte liquid lipstick because it doesn't feel too drying on the lips. I really don't feel like I have anything on, so that's pretty amazing. I'm very happy with how everything turned out, and I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you guys on my next video. Bye!